Just to start, can some of you shout out why are you interested to attend this panel on digital transformation? Give me some views. Anyone?
Sure. My name is Sheong. I think Singapore is a great place for these initiatives, more so than larger countries. This plays really much to our strengths as a small, dense nation with excellent infrastructure and well-educated population receptive to technology. We can learn. There's so much that can be done in Singapore that can then be rolled out to internationally. We can pick up a lot of lessons on project management. We can learn stuff that from other countries as well that can be brought back to Singapore. And Singapore, right, being small in this case is a great advantage to us, as internationally we would never be perceived as an adversary of any sort. We can be truly a bridge between other places which might not really trust each other. So I'm very excited to be here and learn from all of you. Thanks.
Thanks, Sheong. We'll definitely address that, building in Singapore for the world. Anyone else? Anyone wants to just share so we can also take into account your concerns when we have this panel? Okay, never mind, we start talking first. And then after that, we'll open it up. Okay, so I'm going to just do a round of introductions, right? I want, all four of them to answer. Okay, tell me a bit more about yourself, your career path so far, and what does your team do in this large organization that you work for, and how are you really going about this digital transformation journey? Okay, just answer one facet of that, can already. All right, Kwek, you start. Oh, sorry.
Hello everyone, I'm Kwek. I'm from GovTech. I run the National Digital Identity Program in Singapore. Some of you might have heard that, and for those who have heard that, probably you know that this is about giving every citizen and residents a crypto digital identity on their mobile so that they can transact with public and private sector companies. And but that is not all, because at the end of it, the real objective of what we are trying to do, like what Sheong has said, is really to build an ecosystem of trust, that can support the individual transformation effort, digital transformation efforts of public sector, private sector, people sector. And we do that by providing the necessary legal frameworks to provide more certainty, the digital infrastructure, and enablers. We like to call it as enablers, to help provide more trust. For example, data platforms, API marketplace, identity management systems, certificate authorities, fraud analytics. I'm probably taking a little bit more time. So these are all the systems and legal frameworks that we are trying to build in Singapore, so that we can engender more trust in digital identity, and more importantly, to allow services to be more integrated and data to move across the boundaries of organizations. And I'll explain a little bit more of that later on. And just to say, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to share our journey with you on this panel or after this panel as well.
So Shang, I arrow you next. You work for SP, and really, we don't really think of utilities as a super, exciting, challenging market. But I know that you're breaking that norm because you're a very respected tech leader in Singapore. So tell me a bit about your journey into SP and where you were before.
Sure. Sorry about the voice. I've been not feeling well for the week. Anyway, so I've been in this industry for about 24 years now. So I spent about 10 years in startups and about 10 years in American tech companies. And I recently joined SP. SP is Singapore Power, in case you guys don't know, a utility company in Singapore about 2.5 years ago, to help them with digital transformation. I mean, that was literally the pitch to me. Although at that point in time, I didn't know what digital transformation was, right? But I discovered very soon. And today I run a SP Digital. It's a wholly owned subsidiary of SP Group, Singapore Power Group. And what we do is we try to drive sustainability through energy, tech. So technology to drive and create sustainable solutions for our users and Singapore in general. So that has been the driving force for the team that I've been building so far.
Okay, ladies. Okay, I come from GIC. So GIC is really an asset manager of the Singapore government. Our mission really is to preserve and enhance the long-term international purchasing power of the foreign reserves that are placed under our management. In short, we secure the financial future of Singapore. So we have about 1,500 employees worldwide from a wide range of background and across 40 nationalities. We operate out of 10 global offices, including the headquarters that's based in Singapore. So what do I do? Okay, I'm the Chief Technology Officer. So in short, I'm responsible for the technology group in GIC. We see ourselves as the trusted business partner to co-create impactful solutions for GIC itself. We are, and people keep reminding me that I have the largest department in GIC. Legend. We have 320 employees today, and we are growing to 370 this year. So we generally have a year-on-year growth of 15 to 20% in terms of headcount. We have a relatively, so we really provide a full spectrum one-stop shop from the very unsexy network and data centers to the infrastructure, the applications or the data platforms, advanced analytics, and increasingly data science solutions for our investment professionals, because we are multi-asset class investment managers. So there's plenty of opportunities to use very advanced analytics and data science solutions, really to allow our investment professionals to make much better data-driven investment decisions.
Thank you. Go, Mark. Mark.
All right, so hi everybody, my name is Mark. I'm currently in the Temasek. As you can have heard just now, Karen said that talking about GovTech. So previously I was in GovTech. I just joined Temasek about 1.5 years ago to actually really kickstart this new digital technology team. Maybe I just start with GovTech. So what happened was at GovTech, it was quite interesting because I'm a software engineer by training. So when I joined the government, it was not GovTech yet, it was called IDA. I discovered that something was very strange, right? We don't do any software development at all. We don't build anything ourselves, right? Most of it was, outsourced. So me and a couple of friends started to do a night job, and we started to build stuff ourselves, and we somehow got caught. And to cut a long story short, it became GovTech Hive in a few years' time, and we reached about 200 over people, software developer, UX designer, cybersecurity experts, working together in a very agile fashion to roll out government services for the citizens. So now in Temasek Holding, so what am I doing? Similarly, I'm kickstarting a very strange team. We are not your typical Temasek employee. We wear jeans to work, we wear t-shirts, and yes, we do swear. Yes, when your code doesn't work, you do swear, but we make sure it works because we have a proper DevOps running at full length. So what we're doing today is a lot more to deal with AI, machine learning particularly, and data science. The investment world have changed a lot. In the past, you used to look at investment purely from their financial fundamentals and projections. This is no longer the case. Now we are actually looking at a lot of big data to better understand our investments and how we can better make decisions and also help them to really develop something that is sustainable. So why am I in Temasek? Because I really, really believe in our DNA. What is our DNA? We believe that we can do well while we are doing it right, and we can also do good at the same time. Thank you very much.
Great, it's awesome to hear. So I want to ask you, right, one of the benefits of being in a large organization is that you already have a large consumer base. So what are the very impactful and meaningful things personally to you that you've been able to deliver to your customers now that you have technology, now that you have software and digital? Can you guys each share one example?
Okay. Let me go. Sorry. Let me go first. So, like I said, I have been in startups and I've been in larger companies, right? So I do know both sides of the story. What is very different from startups and being in corporates is the assurance. At end of the month, you will still have a salary, right? Very often in startups, things are always on a crunch. There's a lot of hustling and there's a lot of crunching out stuff. That actually, well, it doesn't completely go away. I mean, you can get fired in corporates as well. But that gives a lot of relief, especially if you want to achieve certain goals, right? You want to deliver certain things. You want to build certain things for the greater good or for the company or something like that. That gives you the assurance, but at the same time also gives you the resources of the organization. If you're getting the support of the organization, you can actually drive to deliver real good, right? In startups, it's always about how can I deliver the next piece of system that will get me more users, that will get me more funding, that will drive up my valuation, and so on and so forth. So I think the drivers are very different, right? In larger corporations, you still have that, of course, but I think the ability to last much longer, that's very critical. And if you look at what I've done in my team, right? Within a short period of time, I've grown my team substantially, and we have delivered a number of things for our customers and also for Singapore, right? We have built a full-fledged, highly secure IoT platform that's now deployed across the island to control things like solar PVs, to control things like energy storage systems. We have built AI systems to do forecasting of load. We have deployed consumer applications that now enable consumers to see their half-hourly readings within the same day, right, of your energy consumption. So a lot of these things, if we didn't have the support of the organization to push along some of these things, it would not have happened. And as we continue to build a lot of new products and a lot of new services for consumers and also for our commercial customers, that becomes a very strong point for us to have that stability and reliability, right? Which also happens to be as a utility, you always need to have that.
Great. So maybe Mark, you can go next. And I also want you guys to share a bit personal, what is really, why do you find it impactful and meaningful to work in this? Because there are challenges which we'll talk about later.
So for me, most important thing is that a lot of people, okay, maybe I can give some background. A lot of people didn't know that actually what is Temasek, right? Actually, Temasek is a startup. I'm serious. Yeah, we started in 1974. All we had was a bunch of government startups that the government that realized that they shouldn't be running it anymore. It should be run commercially. And so it's a collection of startups put under one startup. And what we're trying to do today is that we want to bring that value, that mindset, I would say, back into the firm. So a lot of things that we're doing is quite, I would say, is already part of our DNA. So we are actually working with our employees, give them the opportunity to come out with new ideas. We have hack days. We let them hack up their ideas. And if their ideas get selected and they won through our internal hackathon, they can take a sabbatical, a paid sabbatical to build up that idea into a real world product. And if that works and it goes live into the world, we will be able to work with them to have co-ownership. So our idea behind this was, why is it that we cannot continue to build more startups out of Singapore, right? Are we less talented than any part of the world? It's not true. We have a lot of talented people in Singapore. Whether you're Singaporean or you're staying in Singapore, it doesn't matter, right? If you have that kind of mindset, you have the talent, and you want to really believe your idea can make a difference, we want to be there for you. So that's what we are doing today in one of the things that I feel very personally in driving in the organization.
I remember about 2 years ago, I read an article, about Obama, speaking to the valley, the people in the valley, and he said this, that the government will never run like a startup. Government and startups are different. And to some extent, and one of the things he said greatly motivated me, because he said that government's role here is not to compete with the startups. Okay, it is to do the things that the private sector cannot do or are unwilling to do. All right? And we are here to really provide the infrastructure, the enablers to support the industry and not try to be like the industry. And and that is exactly what the National Digital Identity Program is trying to do. Okay, it is trying to build the infrastructure to support, okay, the private sector. I give an example. 2 years ago, we launched this data platform, some of you may know, called MyInfo. All right, MyInfo, one of the things that government has that the private sector do not have is that government has authoritative data, okay, about citizen. Okay, and we pull the data from different government agencies, of course not storing it centrally, but have links, okay, to the source of truth across the whole of government, and make this data available to the private sector, of course with the consent of individual. All right, and that's paramount, that's important. And what does it do? Okay, it streamlines the interactions, okay, between citizens and the different businesses. For example, applying a home loan in Singapore in the past requires you to meet up an agent from the bank that you don't really know. Okay, you meet him for the first time, and if you want to proceed, you have to give him all your documents, 12 sets of documents containing very private, sensitive data that you sent to this person in order to apply for your home loan. Worse, some of the banks don't allow documents more than 2 meg. Okay, so I have to send to his Gmail. All right. Now, okay, applying a bank loan with some of the banks who have already integrated to us, okay, requires just 2 sets of documents: your salary slip, okay, and what other investments you have outside. Okay, the rest of the information comes directly from the government to the banks, okay, bypassing any intermediaries. All right, streamline the whole process, helps productivity of the bank. That's what we are trying to enable. Okay, we are not the front-facing services that people use, people are happy with. All right, we are the invisible hand behind, okay, to support the industry. And that's what makes our job meaningful, because every time when a bank launch a product to say instant approval using MyInfo, that's where my team will cheer. Okay, this is what we are here for. All right, and I think that it is not just the startups that you'll get a lot of satisfaction working with government, because of the ability of government to rally the industry together is an advantage, okay, that you all should think about.
Okay, so in terms of GIC, I used to work in, I used to run IT for a global container shipping and logistics supply chain company, which is essentially a B2B business. Then I went to Singtel and Optus, and I ran a B2C business, really supporting real customers. So when I went to GIC, it took me a while to get used to the fact that I had no customers. So asset management is a very different type of business. So what it has really enabled me to do, which is really a fairly, to me, it's a very interesting personal learning, the ability to really look at an entirely new set of technologies to help our investment professionals. So we do believe that in this world, beta is beta, alpha is where all asset managers and investment professionals are chasing. And of course, in our company, we believe that if we do a good job of actively managing our investment, we will get superior returns for our client, which is the Singapore government, and of course, by extension, all Singaporeans. So the job is very mean, because GIC is a purpose-driven organization. We don't exist if there's no Singapore. We exist to really secure the future of Singapore. So, but the class of technology solutions and the type of technologies that we pay most attention to is actually quite different from many traditional enterprises. Of course, every layer of our technology stack is being disrupted. There's always opportunity to move to better, cheaper, more effective technologies. We do all of that. But on top of that, it's very important, I think, for us, for our professionals to truly make the best data-driven investment decisions. What we have done is really to embed all our data scientists. They sit side by side with the investment professionals. They develop models. They iterate very quickly. They back test on the data to understand whether, to understand our level of confidence that the model is working well. So I think that has been a very interesting exercise for our company, because we are really, my dream is in 5 years' time, when we walk into the investment team, we really can't tell the difference between the technologist and the investment professional, because they work together and their skill sets will actually converge over time. But as of today, there is still a distinctive difference between the engineering skills of the technologist sitting there and the research skills, the fundamental analysis that's done by the investment professionals. So I think that is an area where we see the greatest benefits of putting our technology resources within the firm.
That's a really good point. And actually, I talked to all of them individually before this. And one thing that stood out is that your customers are not necessarily just the people you're selling to. Actually, it's all these internal people, right, who you're trying to transform and change. And I actually want to hear your stories about this, right? I know a lot of challenges. What has been the process, and how are you thinking about not just, having this little software team on the side doing their own things, but really integrating software into a business, into a big business? And what are some of the challenges you face in the process? So maybe Mark, because you told me about this scalable innovation culture.
Yeah. All right, so it is true. So when we first, I just want to add one point. One thing about tech, right? It's very interesting. When you see something is not right in your organization, there's a few ways you can handle it. One, you can just be unhappy, grumble. You can be sad and or leave the organization. The other way, you can do something about it, right? So one thing about tech, being either you're in the digital, you're a designer, you're an engineer, you can always build something to prove your use case, right? Isn't that cool? We have the power to build things to show people and not just keep nagging at them. I realize that nagging at people and telling them you should change your mindset, change your culture doesn't work. So build something, show them it's possible. So that's exactly what we did. We started building things small, no big deal, minimum viable product, works very well but very safe, right? And then we show the businesses that it can be done. And we show them that actually you can build this yourself. Guess what? You can learn Python, you can learn R. Let me show you how to learn all these things. So we started rolling out all this program, teaching them how to do it. And we call it scalable innovation, because innovation should never be stuck at a small team. It should be the whole organization. Everybody can think about how I can leverage some technology and build out my own stuff. I want to use the other word, but I decided not to. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course. And at the same time, we taught scalable innovation because when you build small and you actually design a proper platform, these are standard stuff that today is very common in Silicon Valley, everybody know, right? You build a proper platform with common services underneath it with proper tools. Whatever they build as a minimum viable product, if it serves a good purpose, we can scale it up to the whole firm and even beyond the firm. So this is what we call a scalable innovation approach. Yeah, think big, start small, do it now, build it out. Don't argue with people. Argue no use. Show it to them. Build something quick and show it to them.
So Sheong actually works in this really regulated industry where agile is not, a bit opposed to this idea of we need our electricity on every day. So can you really introduce agile in this and I know you did a consumer-facing app, 3 months. How do you go about doing it, and what were some of the challenges there?
So utilities are a very different animal. And somebody was asking me whether, is it because, how is it like when you were previously working with a government link, in a private sector, in a startup, and now with a government link organization, right? And I was telling him that, no, actually the difference is not just this. Of course, that is a big difference. But the difference is also that utility itself is a very conservative organization. And it has to be, because it keeps the lights on, right? Because, you look here, all the lights, all the electricity, right? If it suddenly goes down, then who are you going to scream at? You're going to scream at the utility, right? You can't, and they can't turn around and tell you, hey, you know what? I'm failing fast, okay? Deal with it. You can't, right? Because utility, you have to keep it up. And therefore, reliability and so on is very critical. But at the same time, utilities are operators, right? So what they are very used to is they go buy equipment. They go buy a transformer, buy switchgear, buy cables. They build up a substation and then put it in there and run it for the next 30, 40 years, right? They have regular maintenance cycles. Anything doesn't happen, they call up the vendors because no utility build their own transformers. And they'll bring them in, give them a rundown of the situation, get them to fix things up, right? But in software, so what a utility do with software is the same thing, right? For them, a transformer equals to another piece of large software, and you run it the same way. And therefore, no utility actually build their own software, at least not in Singapore. And as I got to know utilities around the world, they don't build the software, right? They still don't build software. So in the sense that the team that I built is an anomaly, right? And why is it an anomaly is because when I went in to do digital transformation, they're asking, hey, do something about this thing. Things are happening in the industry. It's eating up all the other utilities around the world. Help us to fix it. You know what? Software engineering is my background, right? So when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So first thing you do is you build a software team and you start to build things. And of course, I have no idea what to build because I have no background in utility at all. So what I did was, guess what I did? I built a platform, right? So as software engineers, if you don't know what to do, what to build, what's the first thing you build?
Build a platform.
You build a platform, right? And I built plenty of platforms because I have no idea what else to build. And as I discovered new things, then I built the systems on top of it. That's why we ended up with an IoT platform, right? Because I didn't know what to build. I know I need to reach out to all these remote substations and transformers, all these devices. I need to connect to solar panels and to connect to batteries. But how do I do it? I have no idea. So let's build a platform. I built an IoT platform. I built gateways, and I connect to the systems, and then just took up from there.
It's awesome. So one of the things I always get concerns about for people out here is, are there tech leaders in Singapore who we can really learn from, who built, this morning scalable systems, who know Agile, who really understand the tools and the processes, right? And so actually I have 4 of them right here who are really leading teams, building teams. You can hear about the scale of their teams. And I want to ask them, as a tech leader, how are you going about really building that tech culture, making it a great place for tech talent to work? And how do you envision this tech culture transformation happening in Singapore? Can y'all each share? Maybe we start with Kwek and then we come down.
Before talking about the tech culture, I talked about the B word. Okay, since I'm the only government representative here, and B stands for bureaucracy. All right. I think there is no fans of bureaucracy. All right. But if you come and think about it, and I risk getting stoned here, okay, is that bureaucracy, just like fats, okay, which I have a lot, okay, it's not necessarily bad, all right? Fats is an insulator, okay, protects your organs, okay, it is an energy source, all right? Same for cholesterol, okay, I was not going to that. yeah, I'll not go there, all right, it becomes a science forum. Okay, so bureaucracy, there's good bureaucracy and bad bureaucracy. Bureaucracy in itself, the original of it, okay, is just about structuring work, all right, having a clearer standard operating environment. But what is bad is that I call it pseudo-bureaucracy, okay? Bureaucracy that is imagined, okay, by people who fear breaking rules. Bureaucracy that appears because, oh, my predecessor do the same thing. Bureaucracy that appears because rules were stagnant and keep on stacking up, all right, without anyone reviewing whether they are still relevant or not, all right? I'll not go into 377A.
So how do you break through? How does Kwek personally break through bureaucracy in the government?
And I think, okay, I alone, of course, it's hard to break through that, okay, all right? It takes the whole organization, okay, to want to do that. And I would say that the mode, okay, or the mindset, okay, of everyone in Singapore right now is to identify what are all this bad bureaucracy that we need to remove, all right? And for GovTech, we also look at what are the culture that we need to have in order to drive all this digital change. And we define all the core values that we think is necessary, agile, bold, and collaborative. Okay, I would say that GovTech is the only large organization in the world that 100% of our employees and ex-employees remembers what is our core values.
Alumni.
All right. So core values are important, but to know the core values versus to understand and to live it is actually quite different. Okay, and the time frame in which the people take, okay, in order to understand this, okay, takes time. Okay, it's not an easy process. It's like crossing a bridge, okay, over a narrow bridge. You soon find yourself that there are half the organization that is over the bridge and some are still back there. How do you run an organization that way? And really, it requires very good leadership, fair leadership, okay, clear communications, clear roles of responsibilities in order to navigate this. It is not easy. I don't have the answer here. I think a lot of organizations will face this same issue, all right? But again, authentic leadership is what is required.
Awesome. So, Mark, how do you go about doing this and really changing culture with your leadership in Temasek?
Okay, so for me personally, it's quite simple. Right? I believe in happy people produce happy software. Right? You want high quality work. A lot of people talk about being customer centric. Actually, I always feel that we should be employee centric first. Because if your employee is happy, your customer will be happy. So I really want to make sure that my tech team are happy. So every day we talk about making sure that we drink enough water. You know, we do this thing called TCSS. I'm not sure whether you're people who should know what we mean. If you don't know, come and talk to me later. I'll explain to you what it means. So it's very important to have a very positive and happy culture. I mean, there's no perfect organization in this world. Every organization will have things that they are good at and things that they are bad at, right? And we are part of it. We can choose to become very negative, every keep complaining, or we can see this as a golden opportunity to do something about it, right? So again, some people always feel that you say, oh, at work I get a lot of shit, right? Oh, terrible, my boss give me a lot of shit. But think about it, man. Shit are nutrients, you know. If you're a farmer, you really love it, man. I tell you, if I'm a farmer and I'm planting stuff and somebody give me shit, I'll say, oh, cool, man. It's awesome, right? Yeah. So then it's just you can see it's very nutrient. So why are we? So I would say successful in doing our culture change precisely because we want to be different and we want to see things differently. And when you see things differently, you really feel different and you really want to tackle the challenge. So like what I always say, right? If there's a challenge, there's always a challenge. In fact, without the challenge, we don't have a job. So we should be very grateful there's a challenge, there's a problem in the firm, and there we are trying to change it. And the more important thing is that also to keep my team happy, I always try to make sure that they do not have this thing called FEAR, fear. Okay, so I always define this word, fear, and it's not about fear of failure or whatever, just fear, just generally fear of doing anything, right? We're not here to celebrate failure or just celebrate success. We're not here to celebrate no fear. Because if you have no fear, you dare to try new things, right? And fear, I always believe in this, right? FEAR, it stands for false evidence that appear to be real. It's not real, man. It's not real. So just be ready to try. Don't be afraid, okay? Do not fear.
So I think GIC is very lucky. We are not that big, we are just 1,500 people. We started the journey more than about 3 years ago. The GIC management and actually across all levels, very receptive to new technologies, very, very hungry for technology innovation. Partly, I think, because we are a big investor in technology companies. And today, I think there's hardly any company that's not a tech company, right? So, and because of that, I think there is a DNA within the whole organization to understand that technology is here, it disrupts our portfolio, it provides opportunities, it also presents it potentially can disrupt ourselves, disrupt our own asset management business. Okay, so I think that context, and we are very receptive to new ways of working. So, for example, all the tech people, wear T-shirts and jeans. We still don't allow shorts, but they wear jeans and T-shirts to work every day. Anyone within GIC can work from home anytime. We give very generous training budget for every individual to manage. You decide what training you want, so long as you, many things are pre-approved. You don't need, when my staff apply for leave, I get an email to be informed that he's on leave. I don't get to approve or disapprove his leave. So in many of the HR practices, in terms of benefits, etc., we are actually very, very similar to many of the tech companies in the Silicon Valley. The only thing we don't do yet is to provide free lunch or free dinner. Okay, so that's one. But as a leader, obviously, I think you have guessed by now that I'm many decades older than Mark. So I joined the industry in the mid-80s, where many of the practices are not here. So I no longer see myself as a programmer, and actually GIC will refuse to pay me for my programming skills. As a tech leader, I think my role is to identify what are the trends, what are the talent that we need to build the GIC of tomorrow, go out, hire the talent, and actually create the conditions for these people to thrive. Because we are not a greenfield organization, I don't have the luxury of hiring everybody from scratch. So then a lot of the leadership challenge is in culture integration. Integrating people with new skills, very, very high demand in industry, highly demanding as an employee, with people who have been with the organization for many years. They truly understand our business, they understand our process, they understand our values, right? So as a leader, the challenge is to, I would say most leaders in real life situation do not have the luxury of firing 400 people and rehiring 400 people, I would say, in most real companies, okay? So the trick is really identifying what is needed for tomorrow, what is needed to keep today running, because we still have serious business mission critical systems to actually support our day-to-day investment and trade activities. So how do we bring them in, integrate the two cultures? That's one, and I see my role also as an effective bridge between technology and the business. I think one of the challenge of users today is that just because they use the iPhone, they think they know how to write the best mobile app, right? So actually, a little knowledge is a very dangerous thing. So I think I see one of my role is really to help influence and shape what the business want and how they want to drive their use of technologies so that business and technology can work side by side to really create the kind of impact that we want for our organization.
Awesome. So I also want to just pass the mic over to Sheong, who is known as the Code Father in Singapore. If you look him up, he has a very famous name there. Just maybe answer this question, and then I'm going to open up to the floor because I think there are going to be questions now. So tell us more.
Yeah, it's the white hair, by the way. Yeah. So I joined SP. So SP is a pretty old organization. I mean, it's relatively new, but when I joined SP, we had an annual staff convention, and they were starting to give out 50-year long service awards, right? 50-year long service awards. He's older than me, right? I mean, he has been working in the company longer than I've been alive. So that was like truly startling. And obviously, being the first person on board to that organization, I can't change a large organization with like people with 50 years of experience in the industry. And I'm cognizant that whatever I know is probably not whatever they have been doing for the past 50, 60 years, supporting Singapore in keeping the lights on, right? Who am I to tell them, no, your culture is wrong, you need to change your culture, right? So my approach is not really like I'm going to change people's culture. My approach is then to show how technology is changing and changing the way that we operate and do things. And as I built the team to build the technology, I let people see how we achieve success. Right? And with that success, hopefully those people who are willing to change will change. And those who are not willing to change will receive a long service award, shake our hands, and thank you.
So I really seen one of the trends is if you see a problem, you can build a product to solve it, and there's a whole new level of empowerment that the technology teams really have. And I've seen that really disrupt the way that governments are run and even your organization. So now I want to open it up to the crowd. I want take 2 questions at a time so that we can also save some time. Yes, Tony, yes.
Hi, my name is Tony. Thank you all for sharing your experiences and the culture of your company. I think it's really eye-opening for me. I have 2 questions. First question is that it's pretty obvious to me that both GIC and Temasek would look for skill sets like data science and machine learning engineers or something like that. I'm curious what kind of skill sets or roles that SP and GovTech is looking after. Second question is that probably more towards Mark and GIC lady, Ms. Wu. What's the biggest challenge that you face in building the data science and machine learning infrastructure? Thank you.
Anyone wants to add on Tony's question, build on it, because I think similar. Anything? Anyone? No? Okay, over to you guys.
Okay, just want to clarify, we don't just hire data scientists. So as I mentioned, almost every layer of the technology stack today is being disrupted, and we are actually one of the skill set I find, in addition to data science, it's quite hard to find is cloud engineers. People who understand how to architect solutions that run on the cloud, how to operate, how to manage. I think it's easy to find the traditional data center infrastructure on-premise type of engineers. It's actually quite hard to find cloud architects and cloud engineers. So we're also looking for those. Of course, the traditional software engineers, because data scientists only develop the models. To develop the full-fledged solution, I still need my software engineers and the data engineers. In terms of the challenges of hiring data scientists, answer the 2 questions together. So I think when we get from the university, they are generally very well trained. I have some PhDs. I have a lot of people in masters. They come with mathematics degree, statistics, or double degree stats and computer science and so forth. And that's all very good. One of the challenge is business domain. So there's always 3 legs to a real data scientist, right? One is compute, one is stats and math, and the 3rd leg is understanding of the business. So that requires, and that's why I need to put them with the business. They talk business every day. They understand the jargon. They understand the investment thesis. They understand all the jargon in the investment business. So I think that we have to build. We have to train this on the job. So after 2 years on the job, they become very good, right? That's one. But we also have also been able to hire mid-career people. That means people who have spent 3 years in BlackRock or Goldman Sachs and all that, and then we bring them in as well. Then their learning curve is a bit shorter. Okay, so I would say the key challenges is that, and because I'm not hiring hundreds of them, generally it's slow. It's not like you have 100 people qualified queuing up at your door. But we can, because of the highly selective nature of GIC, we hire about 10, 20. We can still fill, but it is challenging.
Okay, so you go ahead. All right, so how we do is was quite interesting. So I really believe in agile squads. So we don't differentiate between business, tech, or data scientists. You all form a squad. In fact, we purposefully don't want to be too defined with the role. So we have investment specialists inside the squad. We also have engineers and DevOps and so on and so forth, depending on the nature of the project or the product. And they just go out and hack it out and show us during the retrospective. So these have proven to be very effective because you can see the result very soon. If they are wrong, tell them they are wrong. They themselves will tell you that they are wrong, and then they move on. So it's very self-organizing. We have gotten a lot of very good feedback from our organization that this is a very new way of working. In the past, they tend to have to write a spec and then hand it over to somebody to build it. Now they build everything themselves, and they feel the sense of ownership as well. Yeah, so that's what we did.
Okay, I don't want to go to specific what skill sets because we need all skill sets, okay? But I want to tell a story. I know Karen is running out of time, okay, but I really want to tell this story, okay? And that story is about Singapore, all right? I think most of you who are Singaporeans or who, even if you're not, you have heard about the success of Singapore in the last 50 years, okay? And how Singapore get there, all right? Is really about open trade, all right? And to make ourselves into open trade hub, okay, what is required? Okay, all right, we need to build roads, ports, okay, communications. We need to have good legal systems, okay. We need to have connections to the world. We need to have good people, all right. That's the last 50 years. What is the next 50 years? Okay, this is the digital era. Okay, we have built all this infrastructure in the past. What is the next wave of digital infrastructure that we need to bring us to the next 50 years? We are in the midst of building that. And if you have passion, and if you think that you can contribute to this mission, then I welcome you to join us. All right?
Okay, I'll try to answer more directly. Okay, we hardware engineers, IoT engineers, mobile engineers, front end, back end, data scientists, data engineers, full stack engineers, product managers. Okay, so basically everyone. And why do I say why we need to do that, right? Because I just mentioned that we have an IoT platform, so I need IoT engineers. We actually build our own gateways, so we need hardware engineers, right? So some of my team members actually design PCB, and we used to actually solder it ourselves. And not me, I mean my eyesight can't make it anymore. But we used to solder our own PCB back in the days when we first started, and then after that we now outsource to actual factories to do this. But we need a whole gamut of people because of the range of things that we are doing, right? Mobile apps because we have our main utility app. Data scientists. Actually, we do a lot of AI stuff. And we do AI stuff not because it's a trendy thing. I mean, it is the trendy thing, but at the same time, there is actually a lot of need for prediction in terms of what we do. Prediction in terms of anomaly detection, right? There's a lot of data that comes in that we need to figure out whether it's anomalous and whether we can react to it. We need to do things like forecasting, for example. I was explaining to someone earlier that when we take in the power from the solar panels to charge our batteries, we need to figure out what's the best time to discharge. And we can only do that if we are able to forecast the load, right? So we need to do forecasting. We need to do optimization. We need to figure out what's the best time to do certain things overall. Like one of the main things that we have done in terms of making the operations a lot efficient is really to do operational efficiency through optimization. So AI, data science kind of stuff, it's actually very important. It's just that it's quite hidden underneath of what we do, right? And of course, if you are at all within the industry, not necessarily utility, but industrial side of things, you heard of things like Industry 4.0, right? Predictive maintenance. So that's entirely driven through data science and through AI. So that's actually a very, very critical part of my team. But if you look at it, then it's a whole gamut of people. And all of these need to work together. Like how does it work together? For example, the IoT platform would go and we would gather data from our solar panels and our batteries. And we get this data, we do anomaly detection, we do forecasting and prediction, and then we send back the signals to ask it to charge and discharge, right? So every part of this picture actually has components and skills that we need to build, right? And of course, if you look at it a little bit further than the users, the consumers, how do they interact with the system? We are talking about a NOC kind of system where I'm controlling all the IoT devices that I've deployed out, a few hundred of them now to the market in production. Then we're talking about web, we're talking about front end, right? We're talking about having a mobile presence where somebody is able to receive notifications even on the fly, then we need mobile apps. So you look at it, then it's all of the above.
Awesome. So I think they're going to chase me out soon, but I really want to ask them one thing that you can talk to them about later. So one sentence, proudest achievement in your current role. Proudest achievement, one sentence.
Current role.
Yes.
Can start from this
Proudest
side.
achievement, one sentence. And then I'm going to get chased out.
Enabling the industry.
Be happy and be awesome.
Uplifting the business quotient of the technologists and the tech quotient of my business users so that we can really co-create the best solutions.
I'm really proud of building one of the best software engineering teams in Singapore. Thank you.
Yes, so these are awesome people. Please catch them later. They'll be around until 5, cocktail hour, outside. See you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.